So anyways, game number 1 here in a best of 5, Jordan's Medieval Brawl. This is the semi-final. We'll have the 2 semi-finals today and then the final. And at least on my end, I'm catching up to speed. Jordan, I'm sure you're there. We've got ACCM in the blue playing as the Mayans. And we have Yo playing as the Byzantines. And this is a map that is based on food. It is dim sum. And it is a map that, according to what Jordan just told me, there's not a big meta on right now. So, Jordan, what do you think of the Sith matchup?
So Byzantines against Mayans. Now, if I think about it, it should be better for Mayans at the beginning, I would say. But at the later stages, Byzantines obviously have a lot of tools to them to literally counter every single Civ out there, except maybe Sicilians. But yeah, at the beginning, Byzantines usually struggle because they don't have the economical advantages compared to other Civs. Mayans obviously starting with one villager more compared to other Civs, so that will give them a little boost. And also they are very good at playing defensive, while Byzantines, they can do both. They are also very good at playing defensive themselves, as their HP on the buildings is higher compared to other Civs. And they also can go for the forwards, as their trash units are a bit cheaper compared to other Civs.
So, the Flaming Camel. Have we seen the Flaming Camel used in different ways? I think I saw a clip of someone using the Flaming Camel against someone's water buffalo or sheep or something underneath the TC. Is it common to see the Flaming Camel used in that way, or is that just a one-off situation?
Sorry, but did you see what ACCM did there with the Flaming Camel?
No. Oh, okay. Did I miss it as I was saying? I have no clue. Where did it go?
Oh, he was trying to block the elephant, and then he blew it up on the elephant.
Oh, did he? Did the elephant die? I assume not.
No, it did not, but still, it was like, when you were in the same moment, you were asking me if the Flaming Camel has any utilization. I was like, it has, just blow it up against the elephant.
Well, okay, well, we'll keep talking about it. I have to rewind now. Like, I've got to see. I've got to see what actually happened here.
It's so hilarious.
Wait, so where was his flame? Was it his own elephant? I'm so confused. Okay, anyways. Oh, he clicked it.
Yeah, he clicked it, and then it exploded there.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, it was his own one. Anyways, Jordan. Okay, so I agree with what you said with Byzantines. I feel like Byzantines, they've got the ability to counter Mayans quite well in the long term, but it's just their economy that they lack.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what ends up happening here. I feel like Yo, if he wants to do what he accomplished yesterday, maybe he wants to go for a forward here in early feudal.
And exactly that's what we are going to see from him. If we think about the long term as Byzantines, if you have the combination of Skirm and Cataphract, that's literally the perfect counter to anything Mayans can throw at you, right? But still, Mr. Yo right now is at the position where he doesn't really want to play the long game and take any risk there, because Mayans will obviously be faster than Byzantines, and you're exposing yourself to certain timing attacks. So therefore, he wants to take the initiative, and he's moving forward with 4 villages already.
Well, the other thing that's fantastic about this is ACCM doesn't have a scout.
Yeah, that helps.
Not having a scout means you can't see if this is happening, and you could get surprised by something. Whereas for Yo, he should, in theory, be able to always scout what ACCM is doing. As I say that, he hasn't seen the barracks, but I like to see this. Byzantine forward is more of a classic strategy.
Yeah.
We don't see it too frequently on the ladder these days, and so happy to see Mr. Yo bringing it back.
Yeah.
And Mr. Yo's barracks is going up. One side note, though, Mass Spearman isn't necessarily helpful against the Mayans. Exactly. So it's going to be more so the skirmishers he needs here.
Yeah, the skirms are going to be the most important one. And ACCM, he kind of anticipated the forward here, and he will have 3 militias, soon to be men-at-arms, to be able to defend against that one. And Mr. Yo, I wonder how he's going to deal with that.
Well, the small side note, ACCM was up rather late compared to Yo. So Yo could get enough skirmishers, get the villagers safe, and be okay. Jordan, actually played a game against Yo where he was Lithuanians and I was Slavs. And he did the same thing. Full forward, full spearman, full skirm. I went man-at-arms. I even made like 6 man-at-arms. Still died. There goes the Flaming Camel. So I've seen Yo do this enough times. I'm not even sure. Yeah, look at this. ACCM knows I need more than just 3 men-at-arms. And he brings the villagers. What a great play.
Yeah. The thing is, Mr. is going to do the house ball here. Very nice defense by him. And he's keeping the men-at-arms at bay. And now we will have a counter tower by him. And that will favorize the Byzantines player as they have more HP on their buildings.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, again, the Spearmen pretty ineffective in the long term, but they are still a unit that will do some damage, distract a little bit. And you have to expect the tower will go up for both players here. It's just where's the army going to be? I feel like the men-at-arms, if the houses weren't there, they would be able to go in and attack that tower for Yo, but because the houses, the men-at-arms are kind of useless right now, and Yo is the one taking all the initiative, which is what he wanted when he started off in Feudal here.
Exactly. And the problem for ACSM right now is he lost one man-at-arm to the tower, and he lost 50 HP on the man-at-arm as well. So those two men-at-arms are by far not as threatening to Mr. Yo as they could have been. And that is always the problem. I've been in this kind of situations as well. In theory, you were saying, okay, those men-at-arms, they should be great against the forward. But if the forwarding player is doing the right moves, you're not really able to capitalize on those men-at-arms. And we see exactly the same thing happening here as well.
Yeah, and now the men-at-arms out of position. Yo actually deletes one of his house foundations, opts out with villagers. He only has 2 villagers in his tower now. But Yo is going to hold this position. And what a helpless feeling this is for ACCM, as his villagers have to leave now, and he will actually lose. Oh, he saves that villager. Yeah, well played.
Save. I thought that one was going to die 100%, but ACCM has done a beautiful job here. Those men-at-arms are doing some things here, but yeah, never mind. No villagers have been killed. And right now, ACCM feels the pressure. He's on stone himself, so he's going to be capable of building some towers here. He still has a lot of food under the TC, so he should be fine in the long run.
Unless Yo wants to do the same thing you said he did yesterday and kill that food with his skirms. Because, I mean, that's... At this point, Yo knows that ACCM is mainly on archers. And the thing about eagles, which a lot of people will think of, is that they take 60 seconds to produce in Feudal. Which is just such a long time. So, I mean, ACCM's scared of that dive. He's actually placing houses, even placing a tower. Yo could still consider this. Love the control that Yo has right now, Jordan.
Yeah, he has the full presence here, and also with Byzantines, one thing which is not being addressed too often here, which I think is a beautiful technology to have for free, is the Town Watch. And they even get Town Patrol up on reaching Castle Age as well. And that will help him a lot, especially with the forward buildings. If you look at his point of view, he just sees a lot. He sees that there is a flag on the barracks, so the likelihood that there are eagles and not spearmen is extremely high. And yeah, we will have the archer and eagle combination for ACCM, and it's not that scary at the beginning, but once the numbers get out of control, then the trash units are not working against that at all anymore.
If ACCM had fletching, I think he could pick off these 2 weak vills. But he doesn't have that right now. And, you know, archers are waiting, like they're going to eject at some point. But I don't know where they're going to go. The eagles are going to hop out. Yo knows that there's a chance that villagers could come rush this down. And I guess this tower is going to go up. And what an annoying tower. It would hit any of the units that come out of your forward production buildings. And it's going to deny 2 farms. So the archers, they fall back into the TC. It just feels like Yo can't really be affected by anything ACCM does at the moment.
Exactly. At home, he is a bit exposed on the wood line, but fortunately for him, there are no archers going across at all. Only 2 eagles, and they're going to hit the wall, nothing else. So ACCM will not find any damage here, and you can really see that the pressure is heavily done here from Mr. Yo. And on the left-hand side, ACCM tries to sneak some archers, and will Mr. Yo spot that? I don't think so. No, he won't.
It looks like ACCM will actually loop further around the wood line just to make sure. But, I mean, Yo did see the archers eject, you would think. And he doesn't see them now. And he will actually see the deleted palisade wall, and he will also see the house. So that should tell Yo, a player with his experience, that the archers have to be coming to his base. He is on stone at home too, Jordan, so he could always make a defensive tower. But I think this is where the difference in the game really settles in. If Yo can defend from those archers, Yo has good control, could maybe get to Castle Age a little bit faster. Because ACCM, I mean, he's defending himself, and despite how little control he's had, he has not lost a single villager this game.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, neither of them has lost a villager yet, so both players are very accurate with that. However, I fear a little bit for Mr. Yo because he is completely exposed now against those archers. And they are going to be able to harass very well. And if we look at ACCM's economy, he is extremely close to clicking up to cast stage, while Mr. Yo, he's still further apart from that one.
Yeah, I would love to see Yo. I guess he's making another tower. That's fine. Maybe wall in some of those towers. But I guess Yo had no clue that this was happening. I mean, again, he saw the archers leave the range. He saw the palisade wall was deleted. This is also the downside of forwarding, right? It's because you've got so much focus on the front. You don't really have any defensive focus. And even bigger, you don't have any buildings at home. So he has to wait a long time. But I think in the end, Yo won't lose a villager. But obviously very messy for him. And you're right. ACCM's macro, despite losing access to the middle, he couldn't bring in any additional boars or anything. He's doing good.
Yeah. So he's going to be able to click up to cast stage in a moment. The first thing he needs to do is build a siege workshop upon reaching cast stage and get rid of those towers, because you don't want to have those towers in cast stage anymore. There's always a big threat of your opponent even upgrading them to guard towers, and once that would happen, that would be super annoying. And also you just want to keep those towers away, right? Because if those towers are there, that also invites your opponent to maybe drop a castle in a safe way and very forward as well. So most important thing for ACCM, building the siege workshop here.
Oh man, Yo's gonna find these archers. He didn't actually fire right away, so wasn't able to take advantage of a few volleys that he could have. But the Eagles right now should be pretty ineffective against this number of skirms. But in a minute and a half, they then produce faster. They have more base attack, and ACCM is even getting armor.
Yep.
So 2 or 3 barracks. I'd love to see the 3rd barracks, but maybe it's better to just save the wood for the siege workshop. That could be effective here.
Also, I personally think 2 barracks is enough. You don't want to commit fully to a certain path, because if Mr. Yo, and that's exactly what we are going to see. Okay, ACCM goes for the 3rd barrack, and I'm not a big fan of that, and I'll explain you why, T90. As Byzantines, you have a great counter to those eagles with the cataphracts, and if you force your opponent to go for cataphracts, and you don't even commit heavily, like for example only 2 barracks, then your opponent has committed way more than you to the path of units. So in that regard, ACCM could take even a little bit more of an advantage, but that's not something we're going to see.
Now archers for ACCM showing back up to the front of Yo's base. It's been disappointing. He sent so many archers forward and he hasn't killed a single vill, but at the same time, I guess, Yo has had so much pressure and he hasn't killed a vill, so it just shows how good these players are. Yo, I mean, that stable being on the front for Yo is very risky right now because ACCM is already up. Yo's still trying to defend himself. I could see those forward villagers being a target for the Eagles. But for now, ACCM wants to send the Eagles directly to Yo's base.
Yeah. And we see the Eagle Warrior upgrade coming in. We also have Squires coming in. So ACCM really upgrading a lot on these Eagles. And the funny thing is he's not capable of seeing those 2 barracks. So he doesn't really know how much ACCM commits here. But upon reaching Castle Age, he will see the entire base of ACCM literally.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Yo is just going to buy the castle right now. He's got the skirms at home. His villagers on the front, I don't think they can be saved. So
he will.
They're kind of goners regardless. So I would say maybe just buy some stone here. You have the market. Drop the castle, and then we get to see Cataphract Skirm against Mayans. I love Cataphract Skirm. We never see Cataphract Skirm. But again, you know, Aztecs, Mayans, even Incas, they really struggle against that because, well, what else are they going to do except infantry and archers?
Exactly. That is usually when you're Byzantines, that's the unit composition you want to go for. Byzantines with the Skirms and Cataphracts. Mazza really struggles a lot against that, and it's just in general extremely hard for them. And exactly, Mr. Yo, he bought himself the stone for getting a castle, adding a 2nd TC now. A 3rd one is going to come pretty soon as well, and overall, his economy looks very, very healthy. So, while he was up later than ACCM to Castle Age, he is in a good position now because of the economy and also the pathway which you can go now with the Cataphracts.
I love the 2nd TC from Yo because normally when you're going for a castle, you're going to struggle with the economy. Mayans also have a great economy too, so you have to keep that in mind. Does have to protect his villagers here though. He's so close. I think there's actually a hole between the house and the TC.
Is there? Not sure.
I mean, he didn't even place a gate there, which is questionable, and he could lose all these villagers. Yo, what was that?
That was
Oh my god, it gets fully
so-
denied there too.
Oh god, that was a doubt TC. That was very sloppy by Misteo here. He lost 5
Why not just
villagers.
place a gate?
Yeah, exactly. Or just
Very
2 more
weird.
houses, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
he lost 5 villagers completely unnecessarily, and that gives ACCM an 8 villager advantage right now. So yeah, he doesn't have heavy plow, but overall I still prefer his economy.
Yep. I'm with you. Now, then again, what's beautiful about Byzantines is sometimes you don't need as much economy. The skirmishers are very cheap. Imperial Age is also cheaper, so just ways for Byzantines to catch up. And Jordan, I think this is going to be an amazing game because I've seen enough Byzantines versus Meso games where the Byzantine player is slightly behind an eco to know that this is just the dream scenario for us as casters.
Yeah.
By the way, ACCM killed more villagers on the right. It did get cleared, so 11 total vill kills for him. But
Yeah.
I think Yo will still be okay. It's just things he'll look back on possibly if he loses this game that he could have corrected.
Yeah, for sure. ACCM, as a third TC now himself, he is on stone with 6 villagers, so he's going to be able to go for the plumes pretty soon as well. And plumes I like as a unit choice because they're extremely good against the cataphract. But obviously he needs to think about something against those skirms. Maybe having the combination of those unique skirms from mines that are able to throw 2 projectiles at once. And behind that, you have the plumes. That could be an army composition, which I would go for with mines.
I love what Yo's doing here. So he's had the vision because of his buildings.
Yeah.
And he saw the monks, and he wanted to use the skirms on the monks. And he didn't really hesitate to run in there either because the cataphracts were going to be there for the eagles. So this is where it gets tricky. I mean, in theory, if ACCM converts cataphracts, then his eagles can take out the skirms. But I think it's a lot more difficult to micro eagles and monks than it is to do cataphract and skirmisher right now. And I think Yo will come forward for that next castle. It would be right next to these buildings. I think that'd be the perfect spot.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that because he is only missing 60 stone in order to be able to place another castle down. And now we see a nice engagement here for Misteo once again. ACCM was able to save those monks though. And now he should be able to get some conversions in, I guess.
Wow, this micro is incredible from both. And ACCM hasn't lost a monk yet. And now that Siege Workshop has to be canceled by Yo. You know, another thing I'm thinking of, Jordan, is if you think that Byzantines are better than Mayans in the long term, does it make sense to go forward? Would it not make sense to maybe make defensive castles?
Yes.
That way you have the castle numbers for cataphracts. So just something going through my mind right now. But again, impressed with ACCM. The monks were a great choice. And he's going to drop a castle now in the front of his base, which will pretty much lock that area down.
I guess Misteo was thinking that if he is capable of placing a forward castle, he's going to be able to pressure very nicely with the fast imp time.
Yeah, true.
Because if you go for the defensive play, you're always running the risk of leaving your mines player the timing attack on you. They were going to be faster, and they will have a little bit of a time window where they are able to kill you. So maybe that's why Mr. Yo wants to play it a bit more aggressive, to make it a bit more messy, and then boom behind heavily. Because with Byzantines, you obviously need around 130 villagers. With the skirms and the cataphracts, that's really expensive. While with Mayans, 105 villagers, 110, that's enough already.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, Yo is kind of known for this. Forward castles is, I think, that one of the best parts of his game.
Yes.
Whether it's forward castles to deny resources, where he's 4 town centers booming behind and pressuring with knights, or a situation like this. And so he actually sees the castle from ACCM and says, okay, well, that's my target now. And he's even taking all the food in the middle. I mean, this is worth it. He could place a mill.
Yep.
This is about 1,000 food available. There's even more food around. So as he's more worried about the archers in the long term. He feels like his cataphract number is solid enough. And if he starts to trap down the castle for ACCM could have some big problems.
Yep, ACCM has not clicked up yet, so Misteo is definitely going to be able to kill the castle while his will not even be threatened. And that also gives Misteo a huge advantage because the plumed archers are the unit of choice for ACCM here. And he only has 1 castle so far, so he is going to struggle a lot with the production facilities. He goes up now, but he's trailing behind 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, at the same time, we've got 90 villagers for ACCM. So 90 villagers with Mayans, I mean, oftentimes you don't even need more than 100. If they're all
Yeah.
working efficiently, Mayan villagers and how cheap Mayan archers are and everything else, I mean, it could be good. And whoa, ACCM,
Oh.
he's actually placing a second castle in the same spot.
That cannot be healthy, T90. That cannot be healthy.
It certainly shows that he knows that area is important, right? But it's telling us that if he loses that area, he's not going to have a whole lot else.
Exactly. That's a big problem for him, right? And now he realizes, I wonder if he abandons the castle. No, he continues
I
building
think it's too late.
Yeah.
He does. So here's the thing. He does have 11 on stone. He will have 2 castles. And Yo has nothing on stone.
Yeah.
So if this doesn't work for Yo, that's pretty much it. You've got to expect he takes that 1. I like the confidence here from ACCM to move forward with the Eagles and the Monks, but they have to stay together. If the Monks are on their own, they die. And if the Eagles are on their own, they die. Yo adding scouts now, Jordan. Maybe something he could have done a little bit earlier. But I like the decision. If he can catch the Monks out like we just mentioned, then certainly the Eagles are a non-factor here.
Exactly. The thing which surprised me a bit is that Mr. Yo is completely off stone. Don't really understand that thought process. He has 2 castles, yes. But maybe he thinks that cataphracts overall are a bit too expensive right now for him, and he'd rather have hand cannoneer and skirms as the play. That's the only reason for me why he would go that route, because cataphracts are expensive. You need 130 villages and a very healthy economy to sustain those.
Yeah, the thing, I mean, the stone's around, right? He has actually just transferred more villagers to stone. But quite a few plumed archers out there for ACCM. I don't think only cataphracts would cut it here. He probably will need some skirms. What he really needs, though, is to clear up these Monks and these Eagles. Because if he does that, skirms aren't going to look so bad. It's still awkward. I feel like if ACCM gets conversions, ACCM will very much be a threat here with this tiny army. But he has lost some to the TC. There's Lycav there for Yo as well. As the Trebs continue forward for Yo. 140 pop versus 112. This is a close game.
It's a close game, and if we take a look at the population, ACCM has a clear lead here, but he is going to lose the forward. He will lose the forward position, and then meanwhile, all the Monks have been cleaned up, and the Eagles are just running. They're trying to save themselves, but I don't think they're going to be too successful in doing so. And now the 3rd castle is being spotted obviously as well by Mr. Yo, and the only thing he will have to do now is just repack and retarget the castle, and then ACCM has no chance whatsoever to go for the plumed archers anymore, and that means
it's crazy.
He has to go for archers or like arbalest or for eagles, and that's not going to be too good here.
Yeah, look how confident Yo is. He knows that Eagles are kind of useless now, so he just walks forward with the Trebs. He's got no protection. But he figures it's going to be mainly ranged units, and he goes for the next castle. Problem for him, though, is the plumes actually hit his new farms. So he does need skirms back home, but the skirms are on the way there, Jordan. The upgrades are coming in at the top right. And again, just a confident push forward with the Trebs there for Yo. He'll just bring the cataphracts here. His next castle will complete, and ACCM is falling apart now. Yeah.
Also, ACCM didn't have ballistics at the time he was raiding, so he was by far not getting as many kills as he could have gotten. And now, Mr. Yo, he will obviously trap down the main TC, and ACCM, he will lose so much ground in the process. In the meanwhile, his pressure is just not going to cut it, because the skirms are a great unit to get rid of those plumed archers, and ACCM doesn't have any siege forward. So his push or his attack is by far not as threatening as Mr. Yo's here.
Also, 4 relics for Yo. He's actually had them for a long time. He had them before the Imperial Age. And I feel like with these castles being positioned as they are, and ACCM having lost all of his, Yo doesn't even necessarily need to go for the kill now. Like, he could just max out his economy at home. It's very difficult for ACCM to ever get positioned back on the map.
Yeah.
Yo will probably do a mix of both here, Jordan, but I expect that food count for him to just keep climbing. And I do not expect the plumes, though ACCM has done a good job using the mobility, I don't expect the plumes to accomplish that much here.
Yeah, no, they won't. They are not even elite plumes, right? Which makes sense. There's only one castle remaining for ACCM. We have, in terms of population, it seems to be a very equal situation. But the thing is, Mr. Yo has momentum. and he's going to push even harder into ACCM space here, and ACCM doesn't have the tools right now to defend against this.
Yeah, I mean, if his plumed army gets 20, 30 Vil kills, and Yo doesn't get another forward castle next to these trebs, maybe. But we mentioned it before, Byzantines are quite good against Meso Civs. There's a reason in tournaments why people have actually globally banned Byzantines out, because sometimes people wouldn't want to play them because they didn't have the eco bonuses, but no one wanted to play against them.
Exactly.
And, I mean, it's not just Meso Civs either. I mean, Byzantines could do great against any Civ that takes a lot of knights. I mean, it's a unique Civ. I think it's well balanced too, right? Because the lack of eco is obviously a weakness.
Yeah, I love Byzantines. It just feels like I feel like they are underrated, honestly.
Yeah,
also in King of the Desert, it felt like they had such a huge win rate, and it was one of my favorite civilizations to go for because they have everything to counter everything except Sicilians.
Yep. Yeah, I agree there. And Yo continues with his trebs. Again, he does have the stone to place more castles, but he is either waiting to clear up this main fight and then place it where the TC used to be, or maybe he's going to place it more defensively again with 4 relics and the KD going so well for him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he feels like this is probably his game. I know ACCM probably realizes this is over too, but it's the first game of a long series. He wants to relax a little bit more, maybe get some of the jitters out, or just try. You know, you should always try until you're 100% certain you're dead.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, ACCM, he is known to stick around in games a bit longer compared to other people, and we even see crop rotation coming in from him. So, T90, I hope you're ready. We will see a bit of a longer game, I suppose.
I mean, his pop is good too. That's the other thing. 150 pop. I feel like if you reach, normally for me, it's around 100 or 110. That's when you start to call it, but 150 pop, you have access to every resource.
Yep.
You're not fully teched yet, and so maybe he's thinking that's a possibility. It's going to be so tough, though. I mean, the villagers on the right side, they should be spotted by Yo. And then who knows if the castle goes up for ACCM there.
It feels like it could be because right now, if I was Mr. Yo, I wouldn't see any reason why I moved to the north here. So the castle should go up, and I have to give credits to ACCM here, being able to expand to the sides, even though he's heavily pressured in his front base, is just a really nice move by him, which might even maybe give him the win here in this game. It doesn't look like that.
Look at I'm not sure about this castle right now for Yo. I mean, he doesn't know the trebs are back there, but it might actually work out. There's only 2 trebs, so the first 2 volleys won't destroy it.
Yeah.
He has his skirms. He has cataphract still. He hasn't been fully popped with military or fully upgraded with his military either. I guess he's got the stone in the bank if he loses the castle to just make another one later because of his map control. But that's like such a Yo castle right there.
Yeah, he definitely wants to force the issue here. He's like, he's placed the castle at the spot where the main TC of ACCM was. So usually we would refer that as the get out of my game castle. So let's see if the castle is going to be able to get exactly that action.
I think ACCM is also moving a little too fast for his own good right now. 124 villagers is a sign that he's cycling through his TCs because he realizes he's losing Vils, constantly add more. And I feel like maybe his only comeback would have been if he had Elite Eagle, which costs food, and it sucks to see someone fighting with Castle Giga Warriors. I know it's not ideal regardless against Cataphracts, but at least get your upgrades here. But I can understand it. You know, we've all been there. You start to lose so much ground, and so you aren't able to focus on the small things as much, and you just queue up everything you can without looking at the balance as much.
Exactly. Especially in those messy games where there are a lot of places where aggressions are coming in. There is the tendency that players, you know, lose a little bit of their focus and then have queued up units which don't make too much sense anymore. And after all this, ACCM taps out of this one. Mr. Yo taking the first win here.
That was just a masterclass on how to play Byzantines against Mayans, maybe how to control the map, but just Yo is so fun to watch, man. He's one of my favorite players to watch in tournaments.
Yep.
I think it was a little sloppy to lose the forward villagers because he had a lot of control, and maybe we could say it was also a little sloppy to not sense that ACCM was going for a couple counterattacks in feudal.
Yep.
But he probably picked Byzantines for a reason. When he saw this matchup, he envisioned that it would go this way. And once the castle came out, it was always extremely complicated for ACCM. And full credit to Yo for the faster Imperial Age, because he was down by 20 vills, but he knew if I just trap down his castles, then I'm always going to have control over this game, and ACCM will have nothing, no response to my army. So,
Yeah.
GG.
Yeah. And that is the player Mystio is, right? He is not really known for having the best micro. He's not known for being the fastest player, but he's definitely known for having one of the best decision making in the game. And in Age of Empires 2, decision making is such an important factor, especially if you have a certain foundation of a certain speed, macro wise. Decision is literally the thing which wins you the game, right? Because in the top 30, everyone has group macro. Everyone is going to be capable of producing units without idling too much. It's more about the strategical decisions you do, and also how do you react in certain situations. And Mr. Yo, most of the time, he just does the perfect moves. So that's why he also in this game was able to have such a dominant position. Even though sometimes it didn't look like that looking at the stats.
How different is this game if ACCM doesn't place two castles right next to each other and he places the other one in a safer position, Jordan? Because right now, I mean, as he's tapped out, he has two castles in the freaking back corner. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could have still, in my eyes, I think that plumed archers could have been a continuous thing for him to make.
Yes.
If he would have placed a second castle elsewhere. I just don't know how much that changes.
Yeah. I think it would be a change for sure. Because, first of all, it doesn't allow Mr. Yo to snowball onto you with the fast imp. He's just like, okay, you're imp 2 minutes faster. Okay, but I'm not going to lose my production facilities. So I'm not going to suffer too much from that. And Mr. Yo, it was not like he had such a good economy where he was able to spam skirms like there's no tomorrow, right? It was just not at that point. And ACCM definitely had the lead at that point with the villager in general with the economy. And I think if he is able to sustain those castles, place them a bit more into the back, and have like 3-4 castles pumping out plumes, then that's a totally different story. And maybe even thinking about stuff like siege rams or eagles to counter those skirms, then game could look differently very, very quick.
Final thing I'll mention. Elite Cataphract completed the second the GG came in.
Yep.
So apparently Elite Cataphract OP.
Yes.
So
yes, ACCM obviously he had the unit selected.
Yeah,
he had the
was
unit
watching
selected.
it.
And once he saw the elite there, he had to surrender.
There's way too many people listening to us who relate to that too. They're like, oh yeah, elite, no, I'll go play a new game, thank you.
Yeah, not against elite cataphracts. Like there are certain elite units you deal against, and then there are certain you don't deal against.
Okay, so tell me how game 2 works here, because I saw they were picking maps in the Discord. So it just goes to a home map for ACCM, I assume.
Exactly. Yeah, the home map is going to be Fissure, and yeah, they have already started. By the looks of it. So
all right, yep.
That's also something which I really appreciate about the players participating. They are extremely efficient, and there is not too much waiting time, which I personally am not the biggest fan of. I know T90, you're a bit more chill in that regard.
But well, I like to talk, man. I mean, we summed up that game nicely.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But yeah, we can catch up here. Game 2. Nomad start here. We've got Yo in the north. Great game 1 from him. He's playing as the Tatars.
Yep.
And then down towards the south, we have Chinese for ACCM. Nice to see Chinese on a Nomad start, Jordan. What do you think about them here?
Oh, very interesting. Like, usually when we see Chinese being picked on the Nomad start, that usually involves maps where Shorefish is close to the TC, because that gives you even a bigger boost. Now with the sheep, obviously you're going to be able to sustain a villager production, but it feels like you will have a little bit of delay here. And we can see ACCM has a 20-second ILTC time with Loom. So usually in a standard map, you have around 25 to 27. So it's not a big difference. But obviously Chinese has the slight advantage in terms of economy. And Tatars, they don't really have anything going for them in a Nomad start. The good thing for them is that they get the Thumb Ring in Castle Age, so if you go for the ranged units, that's really helpful, and I think that's something we will see from Mr. Yo here. And obviously they also get 2 extra sheep, spawning by extra TCs.
Does that apply to Nomad when you complete? I don't think it does, but I should double check here. When you make your starting TC on Nomad with Tatars, you don't get additional sheep, correct?
I'm pretty sure you don't.
Okay, I don't think so either. By the way, ACCM lost his horse, and now, or sorry, Yo lost his horse. ACCM's lost his horse. Had it confused. So we have no scouting now for the players, but they at least know where the other one is located, which I guess is a positive.
Exactly. And also this map is designed in a way that all the relics are in the middle. There are 7 in total. So, you know, getting control of the middle is going to be a very crucial factor for both players, as you don't want to give those relics away to your opponent. And also we have 4 bigger mountains, I would describe them now, with a big forest in the middle. And other than that, we have a little bit of forest scattered around on the map as well. But yeah, I think the middle is going to be the most crucial thing here. And as they are on the hills, that's obviously a good thing for Tatars, as they get the 25% extra bonus damage while being on the hill.
I feel like controlling wood is going to be so important here. There will be other things we talk about, but if this gets to the mid game, I don't think you can just sit back in the corner. There's just way too little wood.
Yeah.
I imagine the initial wood line they're chopping is going to be gone, and then they have to push forward. So,
yeah.
Man, I'm thinking about even extra TCs. A little awkward because there's a lot of hills on this map. I guess ACCM would kind of go to the right corner. Could always fall to the south, but yeah, I think that's maybe part of the reason Yo picked Tatars. He sees all the hills, and he'll want to be aggressive. Early Castle Age is very much where the Tatars are shining, and then if they don't shine there, Jordan, I think the Chinese are definitely the better of the 2 civs.
Yeah, for sure. Chinese overall is such a strong civilization. However, Tatars, and that's something we always have to think about and keep in mind, that in Imperial Age, they have CA, which has 7 pierce armor. That's exactly equivalent to the pierce armor of Paladins. And, you know, Chinese are most of the time based on ranged units. So that's definitely going to be a crucial thing for Mr. Yo to mix in there in late imp. But at the beginning, Chinese should have the advantage for sure. And I wonder how both players are going to open. Right now, I don't really see anyone going for anything else except scouts here.
Yeah, I was wondering if we'd even see fast castle, right? Like if you look at ACCM, I guess, you know, you could in theory wall on the wood, wall on the berries, wall on the gold. Probably better to have a little bit more control over the game, but a lot of nomad starts, especially if you don't have a scout, lead to fast castle, because that starting scout can lead to stopping any walls. Starting scout also makes something like man at arms more effective. I don't know if ACCM's considering that. He's just clicked up now. It seems unlikely with this time he'll do it.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you had said scouts for Yo. He's adding the barracks now. I doubt we'll see villagers on gold, so you're probably correct on that.
Yeah, both players most likely will aim to go for the scouting path. And as we see the difference now between Tatars and Chinese, we have the same uptime, but we see a 2 villager advantage for ACCM. So that obviously is a nice boost for the Chinese player here. And yeah, we will see scouts here, that's for sure. 3 villagers on deer already for ACCM. I love that move. While Mr. Yo, he's just basing everything on sheep. And as Tatars, that's very how's it called? Convenient? Because convenient, yeah, because they last 50% longer, right? So they have 150 food they offer instead of 100.
How do you say convenient in German?
Let me think.
Or if there's a word similar to it.
Angenehm.
Angenehm?
Angenehm, yes.
Wow, that's like the easiest German word I've ever tried to say. I can do that. I don't know about some of the other German words.
I have other words which are not that easy.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Okay, there's a stable for Yo. And yeah, we'll see the stable for ACCM. It's funny how they both kind of went for the low elo scouting pattern, like this little weavy line, boom, right into the TC, man.
I love that one so much. Low elo scouting pattern. So T90, I don't have too much experience with those, but is that what it usually looks like?
Yeah, I mean, they're looking at their eco, and their scout just runs right into the TC. The only thing that would really be different would be is the fact there's a town bell instead of a garrison. And so it's funny because you got like all their eco goes idle just to kill the scout, which is totally worth it.
Yeah. It's all about the calculations.
But it is hard. To be fair, though, it's very hard with the horse because I think the horse has a little less line of sight.
Yes,
and it definitely dies a lot faster too. So it makes sense that could happen here.
Yeah, but it's also pretty unlikely that you have two high-level players losing their horse in the same game. So
yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
That's very unlikely. Okay, so both players have their scouts available. The question now for me is, how much do they commit to that? We see scout number 3 now for Mr. And Mr. ACCM, he only built one if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it also feels a lot easier for Yo to wall. You can clearly see what his plan is.
Yeah.
And so he just added the spearman. He'll be fully walled in a second. ACCM, he's also taking more risks, still taking the deer. So, I don't know. Just could be awkward. Yo will probably run around with these scouts until Castle Age. So you've got to think that there's a potential for one villager to go down. Or maybe, let's say ACCM needs to go to gold, but he can't time it right. Just never a fun spot to be in if you're ACCM after losing the first game.
Yeah. And that is going to be problematic for ACCM here because he's not adding... Okay, now he has started adding the scouts. He realizes the situation he is in, and he should not take any damage from those scouts because he has 2 spears defending extremely nicely here. And now adding the scouts himself, he's going to be able to chase down Mr. Yo's scouts himself. And ACCM being very, very cautious, even walling his house building villager in. So he will not take any damage for sure, and he will remain with the 2 villager lead. However, as you mentioned, T90, he is not going to be walled, while his opponent will be.
Yeah, it's just more work for ACCM right now. More work, but it doesn't feel ideal to add 4 scouts and then add them just to cancel out the enemy scouts, but I feel like it's so much better than having to run around with 2 spearmen.
Yeah.
And then you can have scout control for things like relics later. Yo is known for sneaking forward at times, so you have a bit more vision over the map. And I love the farm count for ACCM. This is another game where his economy has actually looked better than Yo's in the feudal age. Yo is a little late to the farms in comparison, probably just because he relied on the sheep a little bit longer.
Yeah. We now also see ACCM moving to gold. He has 400 food in the bank, 450 wood, and 60 gold. So he should be able to go up to cast stage pretty soon. On the other side, Mr. Yo has the same stuff there. 400 or 500 food in the bank. A bit late on the gold, so he should be a little bit delayed here. And overall, ACCM has not taken any damage. And the awkward thing for ACCM right now is that he cannot really chase down those scouts because the scouts will always move to the hill. And that's exactly where they get the extra bonus damage as being Tatars. So, yeah, it's a very annoying position for ACCM right now.
Okay, so here's a question. How do you open here if you're Chinese? Because all that Yo wants to do is likely go cav archers.
Yeah.
And so what the weakness of cav archers would be if your opponent opens crossbowmen and has 5 to 10 crossbowmen before you have a couple cav archers out. I mean, that is unlikely to be a possibility now for ACCM because he's played this like he's going to go into knights and camels. Is this a good thing for Yo, you think, Jordan?
I think for Mr. Yo, if he was to switch to CA, it would be a good thing. However, builds a market at blacksmith. So that kind of tells me that he's not really interested in adding the archer ranges, is he? Because if you go for the archer ranges, you don't need a market. So
yeah,
I'm a bit surprised by that. But in general, I would agree. Go for the archer ranges and try to take control of the CA because you're definitely going to have fun on the wood line. And ACCM, he adds 2 archer ranges now, which I think is a little bit too late with the build. So I wonder, it has to be archers. He even goes for gold mining upgrade, so it has to be crossbows, and he will not have a lot of numbers.
Yeah. And I don't like the ranges. Honestly, It seems crazy, but Chinese actually have pretty solid cav archers. So I don't know if you want to go into a losing battle in the long term, but if you're going to add the ranges at this time, you're going to have maybe 4 or 5 archers. I mean,
Yeah.
Yo might honestly see this and think this guy's going to go cav archers because it's just so late.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're kind of stuck in a spot where it might be better to go 2 stables and just go knights and camels with maybe scorpions if you're worried about the enemy's cav archers. Yo will do that, by the way.
That would be an option if you're able to place the siege workshop forward, because then you can really force your opponent to react to the siege workshop or to do aggression, and then the scorpions are definitely going to take some hits on the CA. But right now we have Yo adding the 3rd archer range, so he indeed is going to go for the CA. And ACCM, yeah, the archers, they're not going to cut it, because as you mentioned, the only momentum which you have as the archer player against the CA players at the beginning of cast stage, where you should have around at least 9 or 10 crossbows, and you're able to hit on their walls, and they are not able to defend. And especially CA, they're only efficient if they have good upgrades like ballistic thundering. Obviously, Tatars have thundering for free at the beginning of cast stage, so that helps a lot. But still, they need ballistics as well.
I love how how much control he has right now. He used the original scouts, upgraded them, won that fight. Now he knows what's coming here. And so now he has to determine if he's going to have enough CA to deal with this. And at least at first glance here, it feels like the answer is yes. Just needs to wait for a few more cav archers, and then he could maybe close this down.
Yep.
But I'm a little worried for ACCM as far as the fights go. But his TC I love, because that wood line...
That is amazing.
Is just so juicy for him. He actually had to chop his way to have space there. You can't just naturally build a TC on that wood line. And he also pre-walled it too. Very well played from him.
I love that TC. 10 out of 10. It is the best TC I've seen in a long time. It just fits in there perfectly. And the little problem for Mr. Yo, okay, it's not a really big issue for him, but he was not house walled on behind the palisade walls. And if ACCM had played it a bit differently, if he had like 12 crossbows there, then and all of a sudden Mr. Yo is in a problematic situation. But right now everything is fine for him. He has ballistics finished. Now we have husbandry coming in as well for him, and he's going to be able to dictate the pace of the game, as he has the mobility, and ACCM will be forced to defend, because I don't see a siege workshop forward coming from him at any time soon.
Well, I like the recognition from ACCM to realize that Yo was building something up here. Like, it was very clear to him that Yo was ready to pounce, so he's fallen back home, and he's kept the ranges queuing mostly all the time. He'll have ballistics as well, and he's actually going to be holding to the hill. So, I mean, if this game goes on a little bit longer without a second TC for Yo, ACCM will have a better economy. He has maintained a higher army count, crossbows being cheaper, of course. And I like ACCM's position, excuse me. It's quite strong.
Yeah, I love it as well. Especially if the third TC goes up, it will be able to save so much space there, and Monsieur will never be able to jump onto that. ACCM should lose 1 or 2 villagers in the process, I think, but that's not the biggest issue. And now there's a raid going on the northern side of the TC as well, but ACCM on point here today. Even reacting to that, and he only lost 1 villager in the process while getting himself this security to build the third TC. But now the aggression is going to come from Mr. Yo, because there is a siege workshop out already and a monastery to collect those 7 relics in the middle.
Ooh, but the monastery could be denied. ACCM moving forward, he should see that villager and kill her. I doubt Yo's going to notice this. Yeah, so she will die. Yo trying to group up 4 or 5 cav archers with the main group. Yeah, he's actually going to dive underneath the TC. No. He thinks twice about it, Jordan. But he will get a few nice kills here on the crossbows. And obviously, ACCM knows now that Yo is probably forward with the siege workshop. You don't just go forward here without the siege workshop before that monastery.
And he also got the confirmation. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and also being on stone is huge here, right? I mean, I don't know where you place the castle because there's not a lot of space, but normally you want to have that third town center on stone if you're up against a siege push.
Yeah. Usually, at this point, for ACCM, I would build towers instead of a castle, because, as you mentioned, it is so awkward to place a castle here. And even 2-3 well-placed guard towers are going to make the deal. You know, seal the deal here for ACCM in the defense here. I love the fact that he's so extremely active with the crossbows. That kind of denies Mr. Yo to have the free push which he is seeking. And yeah, I feel like ACCM, he's building up his economy. Currently 62 villages against the 48. And ACCM, he goes for the counterattack. And Mr. Yo, he's exposed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty wild play here, right? Like, I mean, there's so much around here. But this is going to allow ACCM to drop the towers on his wood line. And Yo has to respect this. This is a big force. Yo's still not certain that the Cav Archers can actually engage. I don't blame him. That's one too many crossbows for me. He needs to bring the siege back home. ACCM with a 15 villager lead now. Well done from him. I mean, that's just a ballsy move to move forward there next to the siege. And not a lot of players are going to do that.
Yeah, and that is one thing which I think ACCM excels in. The usage of crossbows is just amazing for him. It feels like he is so good at finding the right timings with the crossbows. And that's exactly one thing which we see again this game. But now the crossbows in front are a little bit exposed. The CA are definitely going to find the kills here, double kill. And you gotta admire that Mr. Yo has walled himself up so nicely here. And if we look at his resources, that kind of it kind of feels like he wants to go for fast imp here, doesn't it?
I think it's deceiving. I think like 7 of the villagers he has on food is still on sheep. I think it would probably be better to add the 3rd TC, but we'll see. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I think on a map where you could easily place a castle in a forward position, it would make more sense.
Yeah.
The rocks in the middle make it really tough, though. And now, I mean, we're seeing the weakness of ACCM having moved away with his crossbows because they haven't been able to assist him at all.
Yeah.
And Yo is even taking another good fight, has the hill bonus against the new crossbows for ACCM. In the end, he backs away, though, and the main group sees the monk. Uh-oh, big moment. Oh, nice shot from Yo, but big fight here, Jordan. Crossbows split up on either side. I would love to see Yo with an extra mangonel or 2. It feels like if he had 2 or 3 mangonels, ACCM would have no chance. But this one's still doing the work. As the crossbows run away, they're getting hit by the Cav Archers. Yo is... Oh, another big hit there. Yo is in a great position now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, what a momentum shift, right? The ACCM has always been in a very good position, but due to the fact that Mr. Yo was able to catch ACCM off guard, he has the army lead right now, 17 against 15, and his units are stronger, right? ACCM, he only has 2 archer ranges. He built a castle now. I like that castle, but it's ideally it is a bit more at the place where the stable is. Even delete the stable and place the castle there, because that kind of secures both sides of the middle. And then the only exposed area would be the front TC. But yeah, ACCM holds on still anyway. We see Mr. Yo goes up to a village now with 68 villagers, which is super weird, because what is this follow-up? Like, usually we see that sometimes from the crossbow player, because he wants to go arbalest and go for the push, which is very good. But with the CA, we don't see that too often. And I gotta say, ACCM has stonewalled the right-hand side, and that's something which I wanted to mention, because earlier there were only palisade walls, and I was like, ACCM plays it perfectly. The only thing missing is walling that right-hand side with houses or stone walls, and ACCM has added that, so he is on point today, T90.
So is Yo, though. Yo sees this tower, wants to deny it. In the end, they have to trade the siege, and Yo has to finish it off with his Cav Archers. Pretty good for ACCM, actually. I feel like he'll get some good kills from this.
Yeah.
And Yo, I mean, like you said, it's a bit awkward. He did do the same thing in the previous game with Byzantines with the faster Imperial Age, but normally he would have a forward castle for Trebs, and I just don't know where you place it, except for maybe in the middle of the map. And by the way, something tells me Tatars don't get guard tower. In the back of my mind, I was thinking they didn't, because I think Cumans, Huns, Goths, and I thought Tatars was on the list of not getting guard tower. Can someone check that for us?
Tatars, I'm not sure. Let me quickly check. Where is that?
I mean, he's Chinese. He should have been able to research it by now. You would
think. You mean
but maybe
Chinese?
He doesn't think he needs it.
So,
oh my god, I'm dumb. I in my mind, sorry.
Chinese have it. Chinese have it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yo has to delete his Siege Workshop to place the castle, by the way. But he is an imp. And that is well ahead of ACCM.
ACCM will stop the villager production now. He goes up to Pro Age in a moment with 103 villagers, so he has a massive economy lead. However, the Tars, so Mr. Yo, he has 7 relics, and they are constantly producing gold. So that's something you have to factor in as well, if we're talking about economy. And now the monastery is a little bit exposed, but because the castle doesn't fully secure that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the end the monastery will stay up. Yo has Bracer now, and just takes out the siege no problem. Again, guard tower feels like it makes sense if you have them up right now, but the priority for ACCM is going to be keeping his military alive. The treb from the other side of the hill is just so awkward. Oh my god. I mean, I don't think you can engage against this treb that Yo is going to make.
No. You just can't.
Weird spot.
And ACCM is going to lose a lot of ground because the TC is going to fall, the two towers are going to fall, and also the castle, I would assume, is going to fall. And Mr. Yo, he sees that immediately and targets the castle with the trap. So, overall, I don't mind Mr. Yo's position at all. Even though he's quite behind in terms of economy, he is getting the map control, and that's most of the time the thing which matters a lot.
I feel like so many players, like if I were to try and play like Yo has in these 2 games, I would be on my way to Imp, I would lose control of the game, I'd then be 20, 30 villagers behind, and the game's over.
Exactly.
But he just does such a good job at maintaining control, and also playing towards his Civ advantages. In the previous game, it was Cataphract and Skirm. Now it's full Cav Archer, and he is really looking good on upgrades here too. He's got full Blacksmith upgrades. Now he goes in and finally is just trying to use his Cav Archers a bit more against the army and eco from ACCM.
Yeah.
ACCM, could be in trouble. Could bang an L shot here as well. Will land. And Yo, I think, is tempted to engage against that. Obviously, he won't have the hill bonus, though. But still seems like an amazing fight.
Yeah, especially the CA, they have 6 pierce armor already. So the crossbows are not doing anything against them right now. Yeah. And yeah, we have 3 traps already out for Mr. Yo. Second castle is going to be placed on the northern side as well, about to finish. And ACCM, he loses more and more ground. The village account is diminishing as well for ACCM. Mr. Yo is surpassing him pretty soon, I would assume. And the relics are working all the time as well. So, ACCM right now doesn't have the tools to fight against Mr. Yo.
Doesn't seem like it. Yo has more and more Cav Archers in queue. Now at least ACCM has Imp upgrades.
Yep.
But he's fighting a losing battle, it seems. He will have the worst range units in the long term. And he's not going to keep that castle up. This castle, any resources he invests into this castle is just going to be a waste, I think. But at the same time, he kind of has to, because if he loses the hill, he might just die. So I can understand why he's still trying his best here.
Exactly. He has to commit there, because if you give up that hill against the Tars especially, they're able to siege everything from that hill. It just feels like there's nothing you can do against that. The thing which misses for Mr. Yo right now is the unique tech that their CA gets 7 pierce armor instead of the 6. Yep. He has the resources. He goes for heavy Cav Archers now, though. And ACCM, he desperately tries to keep that castle alive, but I don't think that's going to be possible in the long run.
And Yo's incredible. He is so good at this. I mean, 19 farmers. That's not normally a number that you would want to have at this stage of the game. But he realized, I don't need the light Cav. I just need Cav Archer. Exactly. And there's the final armor upgrade. So Silk Armor with heavy Cav Archer. I don't know if ACCM can compete. Somehow has still kept this castle up without any HP upgrades, which is wild to me.
Yeah,
but
it's super strange.
It seems inevitable it will still go down.
Yeah. And there's only one castle out for ACCM. I guess he doesn't have the stone to repair that castle forever. And I love the castle on the left-hand side for Mr. Yo as well. He's just taking more and more control of the map. And now ACCM's castle is going to go down. And with that, all the hopes of ACCM winning this game, because the CA are going to completely shred the Arbalesti here.
Yeah. And it just seems like Yo has ACCM's number. And it's the same way, too. It's been 2 straight games where Yo goes lower eco, higher military, faster imp with a forward castle. I don't think ACCM made many bad decisions in this game. I just think that Yo is somehow always able to do what he wanted to do. The Cav Archers are showing how strong they are. ACCM is making skirmishers here, Jordan. I think at the sight of that, maybe you'll start to see Yo's food count go up. This would be where getting some more farmers would be helpful. So you can switch into light cav or even the Keshik if you still have the castle numbers.
Yeah. Kashyyyks would obviously be the ideal unit choice. On the right-hand side, it looks like Mr. has lost the castle, though. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him. ACCM, upon seeing that, might be thinking that there is still something going on for him. But army size, 18 against 38. He's just behind so heavily. And indeed, ACCM realizes the situation he's in and is forced to tap out of this one. Great display again by Mr. I didn't expect that to be so fluent, Mr. T90.
Well, I think the key is exactly what we talked about earlier. In this matchup, if you're going to go crossbow, you need to have those ranges up mid-feudal or like late feudal. That way your crossbow number isn't 6 when you arrive to Yo's base. If he had a higher crossbow number, at the very least, Yo would have not been able to move out and make that siege workshop when he did. And if that siege workshop is delayed by an extra minute or two, I think then ACCM is able to make it to imp a little more comfortably. He isn't, as threatened, doesn't have to invest maybe even into the towers.
Yeah.
But, what's so tough for ACCM is the reason he didn't, this is what's so crazy about transition. So if you were to go back and rewatch that, he was on the back foot due to Yo being walled. So he invested into scouts to protect from scouts. And then he felt, I need farms. I need to wood into farms because I need good castle age. It would have probably been a little better for him to cancel out a couple of those farms and have the archer production. Even if that meant that he was a little later to castle, it would have had more army, would have held the army off from him. And then, maybe Yo never even goes for that strat in the first place. Maybe Yo has to sit back at home and full boom. Crazy.
Totally agree. Would have definitely been better. And I'm just looking at the stats. Mr. had a good ratio there. 177 killed and only 72 lost. So he was extremely efficient with those CA. And also economy-wise, I thought that ACCM was leading way, way more. But it is very, very close as well. And that is very interesting to see. I guess the relics have played a big factor into that. Contributing almost 2,800 gold there. And yeah, overall, ACCM really struggles right now against Mr.
Yeah. I mean, what has it been now? It's been like, I don't know if they played together since the resurgence, but that's 6 straight victories for Yo in Jordan hosted events.
Yeah. Not the best for him.
Yeah. And now it's tough too, because we said going into the series, we said that, for ACCM, he wanted to prove that he can close out a series against Yo, and we felt like maybe it'd be back and forth. ACCM would win 3-1, 3-2, if he were to get the victory. But now, in the back of your mind, you have to feel like Yo just has your number. Like Yo is your master, and you have no way to beat him because he just continues to beat ACCM time and time again.
Yeah. This is very frustrating for ACCM, and I understand him because, Mr. Yo is not the type of player who does mistakes. Like, you really have to win the game against him. It's not like he's going to gift anything to you by doing stupid mistakes. He's always playing so solid, very constant and consistent. And it's just like you have to force him doing mistakes. Otherwise, he will just wreck you.
Yeah. That's why I love Yo. He's always so consistent.
Yeah.
You always know what you're going to get from him. If it's 1v1 or team games, it's pretty much the same player that shows up every time.
Yeah. Exactly.
If anything, if there's anything that surprises you with Yo, sometimes, and it looks like they've started game 3, so we'll hop in. Sometimes he's like on another level, like he does have those days, but I never really look at Yo and say, oh yeah, he's just off. That doesn't happen with him. It's crazy. And that's rare. I mean, I would say that happens for most of the high level players. Not all the time.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
But everyone has their day, right, Jordan?
Yeah, for sure. And are you thinking about a donut game? I know you're referring to that, T90. I know you do.
I mean, like moving out without fletching against Ethiopians, it's kind of awkward there,
God. You know what was the worst thing?
What was the worst thing?
After the first
There was a lot of bad things, so...
Yeah, exactly, but that's why I'm telling you the worst thing. After the first game, guess who joined our voice call?
Oh, probably Doubt, and then he
Yeah.
said, "Get out of here," right?
He said, "Yikes!" And I was like, "Oh God, oh
Yeah,
God."
yeah.
And that was
Well,
in the back of my mind all the time, right? Like, oh Jordan, you're going to be trash talked so heavily right now by this guy, and that's something I just cannot stand at all. So, that was the biggest loss for me at that day. But yeah,
yeah, that's funny.
that's another proof that we are all human beings, and we sometimes have off days as well.
You did it. Listen, you didn't do it, because you made a mistake. You want viewers to feel more. You want viewers to be able to relate to the high level players more.
Exactly.
It
Yep.
would be rude if you just played like a god all the time, because
Exactly.
then people would feel like that isn't attainable. But
Yep.
you have to lose a game every now and then everyone out there says, "Oh, I can do that."
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Like they'll be like, "Oh, hey, I saw Jordan playing like this as well, so I'm on his level." So I was just trying
yeah.
to sacrifice myself for the better good.
Well, very nice of you here.
Thank you. Before jumping into this game, I quickly want to mention, if I'm not mistaken, next week the great league from you starts, right?
It does. By the way, the game did start. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I'm already in 4 minutes.
Okay, cool. It does start. Yeah, man.
Is there something
looking
you want
forward
to,
to
Is there something you want to mention in that regard, or is it just like everything is settled and we just hop in next week, or is there anything special you want to mention here on the stream?
Ah, man. I mean, there will be lots of information for anyone who wants to follow it. We'll have Platinum League, Gold League, lots of exciting things, and the most important thing is it's reoccurring as well. So I'm really looking forward to promotion and relegation being an AoE2.
Yeah.
I think for you have the Platinum League, but the way it works is you have 24 players, and then 8 players get relegated. So for players like you, Jordan, and others out there, you're going to have to be on your toes, because if you underperform or you don't prepare as much, you could have the play in the Gold League next time around. So I'm excited. I think the first 2 seasons, that's going to happen every 6 months. The first 2 seasons are going to be amazing, but I think it gets even better season 3 and beyond, because at that point we've seen which players are jumping up to the next level, which players are close, and just a lot of repeat opportunities for people.
Yeah.
So thanks for mentioning that, but I'm pumped, man.
Yeah, I just love the system. Right? When I heard about it, I was like, okay, that's exactly the missing piece, which I think is missing in Age of Empires 2. And that just forces also the high-level players to, compete and be active. Otherwise, they will just fall down. And therefore, I'm really excited for next week. That's for sure.
You want to know what my goal as a player is?
Getting into
My
Silver
goal-
League?
Well, I think most likely I'll be in silver, right? So my goal is to qualify for gold, and then that's it. I just qualify for
Okay.
gold once, and then I don't think I'm good enough to stay. So I think I'll just die and I'll be relegated again. But then I can say I did it. So that's
Okay.
we all have different aspirations, Jordan,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's where it is for me.
Okay. So Gold League, so Platinum is 24 players, right?
And gold is 24 as well. Yep.
Oh, okay. So you literally have to be in the top 50 players in order to be in the Gold League.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Man, as we've been talking, I've been watching the 2 scouts here. Mega Random brings some different things from time to time, and I'm surprised that we didn't see a villager die. I mean, 2 scouts, even if villagers were loomed, could have sniped villagers, and we have walling villagers everywhere. It doesn't seem like we were going to see any kills just yet. Hindustanis versus Burgundians. I love this Civ matchup, actually. I think it could be very close, but very much dependent on if the Burgundian player can get their walls down fast.
Yeah. If we're thinking about the Civ matchups, which Civ do you prefer here? Would you rather have Hindustanis or Burgundians?
On this map, I would rather have Hindustanis.
Okay.
Because Burgundians are stronger, the easier it is to wall. And it actually looks like it's a more difficult wall. Yeah, a slightly more difficult wall for Yo right now. So I think Hindustanis having the cheaper villagers. I don't know why they're as strong as they are. I don't know which developer thought it was a good idea to give this Civ what they have right now, but I think Hindustanis are pretty busted. So
They're so amazing.
Cheap vills, faster attacking camels, full blacksmith upgrades, hussar, bombard cannon, 9 range hand cannons. They have Gulam, which is basically an eagle warrior, because that makes sense. Great cav archers, Jordan. I mean, the list goes on. They have elephant siege now, which is pretty strong too. So Yo needs to get the walls down is kind of my point. And you could also say Burgundians could be somewhat OP if their eco is protected here.
Have you ever seen Gulams in action?
Yeah, just the other day I died. I was Huns, and I did not have a fun time against Gulams and imps. So
It is such like for me personally, Gulam seems to be overpowered. I had a moment where I was so behind in arena. My opponent had 40 longbows, and I just had 10 Gulam, and I just completely crushed him. Like he had no chance whatsoever. And
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
2 or 3 Gulams died. So that unit is so busted.
I agree. I think what makes it busted is how many other things the Civ has, right? Like they I feel like they have 3 bonuses that they shouldn't have. You know, it's like they have so many different things. Their economy's very strong. And anyways, as we watch the scouts here, this is going to be maybe a reverse situation to the previous game because Yo is actually making scouts to deal with the starting scouts from ACCM. And ACCM is fully walled, so there's really no promise of getting damage in if you're Yo over the long term with the scout rush.
Oh, and he's open on the north side, if I'm not mistaken. He overchopped here, so that's a bit
True.
sloppy for Mr. Yo. ACCM could leave here, but yeah, I think he will realize it, and both scouts are going to die. And now that's kind of the dream for Burgundian's player. He has Bosau and Heavy Plow in the making now as well. So Bosau has completed, Heavy Plow finishes in 10 seconds as well. And that is the best scenario which the Burgundians can have. However, ACCM, he has full intel about what Mr. Yo goes for. And he should be extremely happy as well. Because especially with the cheaper villagers, he's going to be able to crank out a lot of villagers in Castle Age.
What do you think about the timing on ACCM going to gold? Because in the previous game, we mentioned maybe he'd farmed a bit too heavy, delayed the archers. This tells me he will actually add a range in mid to late feudal here. Do you like this timing? Do you think that maybe he should have gone for the farms first, or I guess does it depend?
I'm honestly not sure what he will go for. I think right now his approach looks like he will go for 3 TC boom and maybe add a few camels to secure the relics. That's right now what I'm seeing. I don't think we will see archers from him. It also depends on how many more villages he sends on gold. Let's see. It really could go both ways, yeah.
What about Yo? Yo's adding a market now. I was thinking about the matchup. So if you go for melee units with Burgundians, you've got Cavalier available in Castle Age, that's very good. Eventually Paladin, that's good. But you have to think twice about that, as ACCM gets housed pretty badly too.
Yeah, that hurts.
The camels are just so strong. I actually feel like the camels are more terrifying now than they were before when the Civ was Indians, because the faster attack speed feels stronger to me. So I don't know. I just wouldn't normally want to stay on stables if I were Burgundians. I was thinking if you do, okay, you already did it. I was thinking if you do, maybe you go for Coustier and go. At least Coustier would be a little better if Gulams come in later. I don't know.
Coustier are amazing against Gulams, as Gulams are not the best unit against Cavalier in general. However, they are not the greatest against camels. So with Hindustanis camels, they have a great tool to counter those. And also with Burgundians, you want to get control of the relics because they are not only giving you the gold tickle, but also the food tickle. And having a lot of relics for Burgundians makes a huge difference. So you definitely want to contest the relics. It's like you play against Lithuanians or against Aztecs. You want to get the control there.
I think Yo will. I mean, he's stonewalling now, which takes an investment.
Yeah.
To me, if you're stonewalling, we're not going to see an immediate castle in the next stage. I think he will probably add the town centers first.
Yeah,
This might be a very long game. I'm actually excited for a super long post-imp game.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that as well, especially with how the day developed yesterday. And already by the first game, I could have said, okay, this has been the longest game in JMB the finals so far. So that was good. We see ACCM up with 2 stables in a moment. So he is definitely going to contest the middle here with camels. But I think he should still have the resources to plant down 2 extra TCs.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like, and again, this is the caster point of view, so we can see everything.
Yeah.
I think what I would do, and maybe it's too much, is stay on 1 stable. And if you're going to contest for relics, maybe just add 2 more scouts, and then you can add a camel or 2 later. And I would go 1 stable, 1 monastery, and just go for the town centers. But I guess at the end of the day, he might actually be able to afford 2 stables with the monastery and with the town centers. So that's even better, I guess.
Yeah, I like the decision to go 2 stables because with the cheaper villagers, I think he will be able to sustain 4, 6 camels and then also the BTC villager production. In addition to that, 1 monastery will seal the deal here for him. And Mr. Yo, he has 500 stone right now. So the question is he going to add the TCs or by the market, by the castle? It looks like he wants to build the TCs first. So he is going to fall behind in terms of the relics, which is not an ideal situation as Burgundians.
We legitimately could have a revolution on our hands later in this one, Jordan. Because
yeah.
this eco is going to be safe behind walls. I could envision a lot of town centers. And with camels out there, Burgundians are normally not going to want to add too much in the way of cav. So the castle will be up. Obviously, that's something as well that you are typically going to want to have. Hindustanis also do additional damage to buildings with their camels. That's another bonus we didn't mention earlier. So ACCM, I think he realizes now as he's actually chasing down the only military in the middle of the map, and that's Scout. He knows he's got the map control. He knows he can get the 2 relics on the map. But Yo should, in the end, just try to convert a camel, which will lead to ACCM running away from here.
Yeah, right now it feels like ACCM is in such a good position because he has the units on the field. He has the full map control. And I'm just thinking, if I was Mr. Yo, what is the unit path which I go for in order to deal against Hindustanis? And I really struggle to come up with a clear answer here. I really struggle.
Here's a follow-up question, Jordan. What does any Civ make against the Hindustanis?
I think the ideal composition must be something along the lines of Paladin, if the unit or if the Civ has it, and then Halberdier. I think that's the unit you have to go for.
In theory, doesn't Imp Camel and Hand Cannon counter that? I guess it's more expensive.
It's more expensive, yeah, and if with the Halberdiers having a good fight on the camels, then you could use a few leftover Paladins to counter the Hand Cannoneer, but it is really problematic to fight against that for sure.
Yeah, I guess, a lot of it depends. I'd like to see maybe a 4th TC for ACCM.
Yeah, for sure.
He did just transfer villagers to stone, so I think he's saving up for that.
Yeah, both players will have the 4th TC. As a matter of fact, Mr. has already added that one 50% in there. So, also goes for crop rotation and hand card. Man, both players, they are definitely focusing on a boomish game here. And that's not too bad as well, which means we are going to see a bit of a longer one.
Ooh, okay, Monk gets picked off. Well played there, ACCM.
And
there's only 2 relics on the map, which is pretty low. I assume this is played on Conquest, though, so there's no relic victory involved.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay. I mean...
I hope they have said it like that.
I hope not. I hope they have to, eject the relic at 10 years over and over again. It's funny.
So yeah, a second relic has been picked up for ACCM. And Mr. has not spotted the forward aggression by ACCM. So that's going to be something which ACCM could surprise Mr. with a little bit. However, he sees the outpost with his own outpost now, and he might be assuming that there's something happening right now.
Yo just sniped the Monk with his one unit.
So frustrating.
He found it.
So frustrating.
This is funny. ACCM will obviously get that. Yeah, I like the addition of Siege for ACCM because the economies are going to be so big already. I feel like it applies a little bit of pressure. It also forces Yo to make more units. And right now, Yo doesn't really have the best units available.
Yeah.
He would have to switch, and it seems like he's doing that with the barracks, but even still, having siege is nice if someone tries to go pikeman against you.
Yeah, for sure. Adding a few mangonels and also a bit of scorpions helps a lot against pikemen. And right now, the mangonel, though, however, is a bit of in a dangerous zone, right? Because the Costalier, they are so good at sniping out siege as they have such a strong attack.
Villager also gets sniped. So now the siege can't really be repaired. But Yo doesn't know about that quite yet. He will know now. I'm sure he sensed it because he saw the houses there.
Yeah.
Actually, no reaction from him. But yeah, he falls back. And speaking of not knowing, ACCM... Oh, he actually does know, excuse me, the double barrack. So he's going to expect pikemen. Maybe a world where he starts to think about a way to counter that.
Archer range is coming up for him. Yeah, so he has that in mind.
This is where it gets weird, right? Because if you were to be, if you're thinking about bonuses for Indians, you're probably thinking 9-range hand cannons to counter that. But you can't get hand cannons till imp. But if you don't want to lose map control, you might want to add something else. So we could see cav archers maybe from those ranges. Guess we'll find out soon.
I think cav archers has to be the play here, and that's exactly what ACCM is going for. Also, in general, ACCM or the cav archers against Burgundians is a choice which I like, except if the Burgundians player is going to be able to mass out a lot of Costalier. Right now, the Mangonels could be dying here now against the Costalier. Super annoying. We see conversions coming in, but 2 Mangonels seem to be falling here, and that is a good transition or a good trade for Mr. it feels like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he would have waited a little longer, he would have cleared it. You know, the monks were able to help out, and now the scorpions are there. But I guess also the longer he waits, the more that ACCM might have had. So not bad for ACCM, all things considered. He's actually going to go for a very forward castle here. So I think he wants to go for the Imperial Age play. Makes sense to me, especially with villagers being dirt cheap at this stage. You can make a lot of army, and you could get a lot of upgrades, but still save resources. But here comes Yo again. Now, this is a fight that Yo might win. If he just takes out the scorpions, he will win this. And now that castle might not complete behind this.
Oh, this is looking a bit problematic for ACCM right now. He's being pushed back with those spearmen or pikemen and the Costalier. But he should be able to get that castle up because he's going for the quick walls here. And nothing is going to stop him from getting that castle up. However, Mr. Yo, he's not too far clicking Imperial Age himself. So ACCM, he might struggle. And he does have the resource, but he doesn't have the second... Does he have the second building? He does not. And now Mr. Yo is up. Mr. Yo is up faster than him. What?
Yep. Wow. Did you notice that Yo accidentally clicked Caravan? That was a funny misclick. For 2 seconds, Caravan was on the way.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty funny. So,
maybe.
Wow, I mean, now you're under pressure, right? Because you've got, you don't have that many cav archers, and the uptime is going to be the same. It feels like with Trebuchet Halberdier opening, this castle could very much be in jeopardy here for ACCM.
Yeah, for sure. He will build up his CA numbers now, and that's something which Mr. O is going to be... I don't think he's going to be worried too much about that, because the follow-up is going to be a lot of Costalier, and indeed, Mr. O is adding the second castle here. And right now, we have 118 villagers for ACCM, 110 for Mr. O, so they are very, very similar in terms of economy. And yeah, it's all going to be about transitions now. ACCM heavily committing to the CA. He has 5 archer ranges already, if I'm not mistaken. And we will have the CA against Costalier play, and that should benefit, or benefit the Costalier player.
Yeah, you know what's so beautiful here for Yo is it's actually a lot easier to micro. Because if his units getting close, they don't insta-kill the CA, but they do a lot of damage. There's a lot of damage involved here. And so he just macros, adds a lot of eco, and patrols in. For ACCM, you're normally going to have one group. And you can see the issue now. He's got that big group, but he now can't defend his villagers building the castle. And that was only 4 units for Yo.
Yeah, exactly.
And these 4 units can just run away. And Yo's so good. I mean, I wouldn't really consider him, despite having seen, archers in the previous game. He's not really that archer player. He's more of the paladin player, more of the eco, castle drop style. And He's looking good right now. He'll open up with double treb. This is what decides the game, possibly. This area in the middle of the map. Cav Archers versus Coustelia, however the crap you say that, and then Halps.
Don't ask me how to pronounce something in English, please.
I was told, right?
Yeah.
Ornlu made a video on how to pronounce it. Now, maybe I got it wrong. And I've been saying it that way, and then everyone's, like, switching theirs to, like, how you're saying it. So I don't even know, man. But,
okay.
Yeah, okay. You're the specialist on pronunciations here, okay? Not me.
Yeah, okay, it makes sense. Like, I've always been one of the best in the verbal skills in school as well, so... only makes sense here. Okay, so we have Camels coming in now as well for ACSM. I like the transition. He knows exactly that there could be something coming in terms of the Cavalier play for Mr. Yo. And right now, Mr. Yo, he has 4 soon-to-be capped Rams incoming as well. And that should be a bit problematic for ACSM. However, ACSM, he has a very good position in front. 138 villagers against 128. He has a population need of 20 as well. So he is really trying to force the issue here right now.
The thing that I really like is how many villagers he has repairing his castle, and the fact he's gone for masonry.
Yeah.
Yo has not gone for masonry, which is Trebor 101. That is one of the basics. And also, I mean, Yo doesn't have Halb yet. Yo is getting skirm upgrades, but Burgundian skirmishers aren't really that strong. So,
yeah.
With so many different things that ACCM could potentially mix in with this Cav Archer ball, and the fact he's winning the Trebor, this is looking amazing for him.
Yeah, for sure. He is going to be able to beat or kill the cast of Mr. Yo. However, there is a world where I see that ACCM is going to lose his castle as well, as there are so many cap rams coming in, and right now ACCM, he doesn't have any tools to fight against that. We have heavy Cav Archer coming in now for him. He has 30 Cav Archers right now, so that is going to be a respectable army, and that castle indeed is going to go down here for ACCM.
Yeah. So it's a trade 1-for-1. We then have the Bombard Cannon for Yo. ACCM snipes it, though. Great job from him. Guess it comes down to, can he complement his Cav Archers with the Hussar line? He's getting light Cav now. There's a lot of trash here. And, you know, Yo is suddenly jumped up with his production. He only had 12 military a minute or two ago. Now he's at 50. And he's killing off a lot of gold units from ACCM.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Mr. Yo. His macro is just so on point most of the time as well. And there are moments where it feels like he's falling behind. But then 30 seconds after, he has been able to get a lot of army out on the field. And now he's going to be able to kill the second castle as well. And his army doesn't look too weak here as well for Mr. Yo. So it is trash units, yes. But I guess he's going to take some CA with him to the death as well.
Man, you know what would have been tremendous against trash units? The Gulam.
Oh man, that would be so amazing. But he doesn't have the castles. He's building one more now again. So
yeah,
that was very important for Mr. Yo to get those castles down. But the momentum is definitely in ACSM's favor. 41 army against 21. 175 population against 159. Looks a bit dire right now for Mr. Yo.
If you are up against Indians, or Hindustanis, excuse me, you can't comfortably make the units that Burgundians normally make. Burgundians are normally revolving around their stable units or their unique unit, and it's just such a terrifying thing. And again, we haven't even seen the full power of the Hindustanis yet. We have the Cav Archers now. The light Cav aren't fully upgraded. They get the upgrades. They're just not in yet. There's also Hussar. There's also Imperial Camel on the cards. And there's also the Gulam. So I'm looking at Yo's position, and I just don't know if for a player who doesn't even have Halb yet, I don't know if he could push this back. Any trash unit he makes is subsequently going to be countered by the units that are coming out from ACCM, and the Cav Archers versus the Halbs, and then the Hussar versus the Skirms.
Yeah, totally agree. Burgundians at this point really struggle to come up with an army composition. Halberdiers come up now. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Obviously, you want to have halberdiers to fight against the incoming Hussars, but that's just not something which is going to happen. And now, Mr. Yo, most of his units are trash units, and we know exactly how well trash units deal against gold units.
He's going for the revolution, Jordan. He's going for the revolution.
Oh,
All of his villagers are now Flemish militia. It's 171 army for Yo. obviously, this is a crazy thing to cast. Playing up against it doesn't feel great. Look at ACCM run back. He's like, no. And now what do you do if you're ACCM? You have to brace yourself, right? You have to hope to take as many good trades as possible. There's just no way to hold off from 170 army when you only have 50 or 60.
Yeah, it's the most important thing is you fall back as much as possible. And you need to get as much castles out as possible. He goes for murder holes. I love that move. But you don't want to take any engagements here. And the thing is, the biggest issue for Mr. Yo right now is the fact that he doesn't have siege to push. And if he doesn't have siege to push, he will lose. He only has one bomber cannon, and that's not going to be
I was going to say, if he would have had 3 or 4 bomber cannons with this, I think ACCM's in big trouble. I'm really excited now, though, because ACCM should be able to get a fairly decent trade against a lot of these units. He needs to move the light cav, though. Someone has paused, but just back up for a second. Reposition the light cav. I wouldn't waste all of them against the militia right now, but maybe he's taking the fight to finish the castle.
Yeah, it feels like so like that. At this point, what ACCM needs to do is use those light cav after the castle has been completed. Use them to raid. Don't even think about fighting against the Flemish militia because they're just gonna wreck you. And yeah, use the CA to defend, but obviously there's a lot of micro which is necessary because those Flemish militia, there are a lot of them on the field.
They
still 100.
Do so much damage.
Yeah.
Do so much damage, and he's got. At this point, he's still got 100 of them. This tech is ridiculous, man. Like it's been nerfed. And everything. This tech is ridiculous. Yo, 140 total population. Only has 16 villagers, though. So he's adding more villagers back onto the farms. And he also could lose his bomber cannon. This is the most important thing. If he can't siege the castles, eventually the militia might go down.
Yeah. He has arson, though. But I don't think that the Flemish militia are going to be able to take down the castle in an efficient way because... murder holes are obviously in, and Mr. Yo right now, he cannot afford losing units. He only is down to 100 population, while ACCM still has 145, and it looks like ACCM is capable of holding on here.
Yeah, Yo just wasn't in the position where the Flemish Revolution thrives, right?
Yes.
I think he clicked it. It was the panic click. It wasn't like the planned revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
And credit to ACCM. I mean, it was a really stressful time. He even knew his main eco could be in jeopardy, so he's dropped a very safe castle back there. He has weathered the storm, and I think we might actually just be a minute or two away from the potential GG, because I see all the cav archers still out for ACCM. I think he could probably kill the Flemish militia in the north of his base, and then Yo will lose 60 pop, and if Yo loses that 60 pop, he's down to 30 at that point.
Exactly.
Which is just not going to be enough to win the game.
Also, one big issue which Mr. Yo had is that he didn't have food left over to reboom. Right? He only had, I think, how much did he have? 500 at most?
It was like 300 or 400. Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah. Usually you want to have around 1,200 to keep the TCs pumping the villages as soon as possible. And yeah, as you mentioned, the castle is going. The units of Mr. Yo are going to be cleaned up now. And
Great castle.
With the castle. And now Mr. Yo is down to 60 pop against someone who has 160 pop. Mission
He's been buying
failed.
food. He's been desperately buying food here. That's been a big issue. ACCM knows that he can keep this up. He can just garrison the TC again before he loses more vills. Yeah, well played.
Yep.
And now ACCM could go for a push that could finish the game. Yo actually has Halb now. Feels kind of funny to finally see Halb from him. I think he might have researched it well before, but...
Yeah, he did.
Now that's the revolution for you. I think ACCM has played this game very well, and we didn't even see the Hindustanis in full glory here. There's still so many things that they could go for, and I guess at this point with limited gold, we probably won't see a big switch, but I'm happy for ACCM to finally get a win on the board, assuming he does that now.
Nah, he will. Like, there's no way he can lose this game anymore. He has a 100 population advantage here. 125 villages against the 52. He's raiding also Mr. Yo's base. And Mr. Yo has half of the villager population of ACCM. And that, most of the time, is never the, the healthiest sign. And ACCM has not lost a lot of villagers in the process. Everything is still working for him. And he's going to be able to repop or re-maximize the population of 200 in a moment, and I don't see how Mr. Yo can defend against the incoming CA rate here.
Yeah, it's the same problem as before, too, in terms of the units, right? Like, full trash with Burgundians is kind of, not really the best.
Yeah.
And Indians can always... Why? I said Indians one time in our cast today, and now Hindustanis are Indians again in my brain. Like, I've had no problem with that until today.
I love that. I love that so much.
But anyways,
you know, I don't even notice
problem
it.
as before.
I don't even notice it. Like, if you say Indians, I'm like, okay, Indians, he means Hindustanis.
Oh yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
just
it's
annoyed
pretty
with
funny.
myself, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's these small things
Yeah.
from time to time.
So we have a caster coming up for Mr. Yo, but it's just like, does that one even go up? I see a world where this one is getting denied, and then obviously that's going to be the game.
Yeah. I think ACCM could just bring Siege forward. I think he knows he's won the game, so he's gonna go for the elephants,
I
the
love
armored
that.
elephants. Like to see it.
Yeah, I love that unit so much. I think that one has so much potential, and it has given Age of Empires 2 a new swing to it. So definitely a good addition here to the game.
It feels harder to get to the Siege elephant because of the cost, but if you can get in situations where you could justify it with army, it is, I think, a bit harder to stop.
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't seen it enough times to necessarily know if that statement is 100% correct, but that's my vibe right now.
Yeah,
I'm getting from it.
Yeah, and now the siege elephants are in, and they are just completely racking the buildings in front of them. We see Elite Costelier being researched. Really? Really?
Yo is crazy. You and I would have GG'd this one a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's up 2-0 too, Jordan. It's not like he's not doing okay. He could just call it and play the next game.
Yeah.
But Yo just fights and fights and fights. That's what I love about him.
I think he saw how fast the series ended yesterday, and he felt like, okay, we have to get more streaming content, and therefore he sticks in a bit longer. But, you know, I appreciate the effort, but at one point you have to realize it's just over.
Yeah, these elephants are going to work on the building here. Somehow their tusks are lighting the castle aflame at the very top of the castle. I don't know how that makes sense. But it is going to burn down, and Yo calls the GG. Nice hold from ACCM, and a nice game.
Beautiful game by ACCM. By both players, right? Both went a bit more passive, especially Yo. ACCM was able to get the rally control, which were only 2, but obviously always nice to have. And then also with the little push, I didn't feel like it did too much, but the transition was just a little bit better for ACCM. And with the right unit choice, he was able to completely crush Mr. Yo. And the Flemish Revolution just hasn't done the job yet. And the 4th game is going to be Coast to Mountain. But T90, I think it makes sense that you do the intro, so go ahead.
All right, well, you know, 2 very different approaches. Oh, ACCM, the ostriches won't move. There we go. Jeez, he was trying to place his TC. And this is a nomad start. ACCM deciding to walk the distance to place his TC next to the wood, which I guess is more the mountain region, you could say. Yo is kind of between the coast, between the mountain. He's gone for the very fast start. And what gets interesting on this map is there's so many different things to focus on. You have the water to focus on, which Yo is heading over to right now with the villager. You have the same for ACCM, and then you also have lots of hunt towards the middle. And then if you want more security and more wood and more gold and stone, you have that towards the mountains. So good hybrid map here, Jordan, and a map where a lot of different things could happen. So what do you think about the Spanish choice for ACCM?
Spanish on Nomad is always going to be a very dangerous thing because they always have the possibility to go for a very fast conquistador aggression, and that's not something you want to deal against with any civilization, because the conquistadors by far, in my opinion, is the strongest castle age unit, especially at the beginning without any upgrades. And it's definitely something you have to respect. However, Lithuanians is a nice one as well. You start with extra food, 150 to be precise, and that usually allows you to go for a fast dock. But on this map, it doesn't matter too much because you start with more resources than normal maps, so it's a little bit different here.
I
Look,
love
yeah.
Yo's start. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just about to say that I'm really surprised that Mr. Yo has placed his dog so passively compared to ACCM here.
Yeah, maybe just didn't think too much about it. I feel like he's gonna struggle with fish after this first deep fish is gone. ACCM did look though. ACCM did find it. Maybe that was part of the strat here. Yo didn't want to be found because whatever strategy he has in mind, he wanted ACCM to assume that there was no dock involved.
Yep.
But you know, the beauty of Lithuanians is they start with all that extra food. And so what Yo did was he took a full straggler tree. The other tiny detail is you don't need to make houses that early on this map either. So he built the TC in the middle, took a full straggler tree, got the dock up and 2 fishing ships out. And then it was perfect timing on the lumber camp. So he's got more wood coming in. It's something that's so satisfying to watch the perfect Lithuanian start. And this is pretty close to it.
Yeah. And we also see now Mr. Yo, one. What happened?
The camels next to the villager for ACCM.
Oh, yeah. But ACCM also doing a beautiful block here himself. And I don't think Mr. Yo is going to be too successful with that. He will delay it,
I think he just wants to delay it, yeah.
And he is going to do so.
Is it just me, or is the hitbox on the camel way better than a scout for that? Because
I
feel like if it was a scout, it wouldn't have been as successful.
Yeah. It helps a lot that he's not attacking the rhino, right? So that helps a lot. And I like what ACCM did here. He didn't go for the 2 cycle of hits on the rhino, because the rhino has been hit more or a couple of times already by the villager, right? So all of a sudden the HP is so low that the 6 villagers in the TC and you hit twice, and all of a sudden it dies. So yeah, ACCM though, he's very late to up to fuel age. So I guess with that build you could even make the argument that there could be a land aggression. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, he goes for the gold mining camp now. So I guess it's going to be fast castle, but it feels like no, because he doesn't have enough food.
Now he's going to go water, I think.
Yeah, it looks like that, but he's going to be so behind in that regard.
I feel like 23 pop isn't awful on this map, but that Yo's 20 pop uptime is just insane.
It is insane.
I don't know if I've seen 20 pop before. You obviously have seen more games on this than I have, but
yeah,
I feel like 22 was kind of the norm. And so again, Yo's build order was designed to be fast. He's going to have the galleys coming out, and he will have 2 galleys out sniping fish before ACCM even has a ship.
Yeah.
So this is going to be disastrous for the fishing eco there. And also, Yo was blocking the mining camp with his camel there. It was also a funny detail. So Yo's on it right now.
Yeah, he's 100% focused now. And he definitely wants to take the W in order to qualify or advance to the finals. And ACCM, he's definitely behind in that regard. He doesn't even have fuel age upgrade yet. And the 2 galleys are out in a moment already. So he's going to most likely lose the fish here. And, oh my god. I love the reaction by Mr. Yo. He even, you know, he pulled up the gloves and said, "Okay, let's fight. I don't care."
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, he knew exactly what ACCM was trying there, and he will send his galleys over. When we talk about Spanish, we talk about getting to the castle age and getting the conks out. But the problem I see with it is you can't just freely do that on this map. You're going to be giving something up. And right now, if it's going to be water, he is really struggling with food income. He only has a little bit of food underneath his TC here, Jordan.
Yeah.
I see some long-term problems for ACCM.
Yeah, for sure. Only 4 villagers collecting food right now, so he could be, you know, struggling with keeping up the villager production. And he already has lost 4 fishing boats in total. And Mr. Yo, he has added fire galleys himself now. So this is just a beautiful situation for him. And ACCM, he will try to compete for the water. He has 2 fire galleys queued up and 1 demo coming out as well. And Mr. Yo, I wonder how much he will commit to water though. It looks like he's adding another cycle of fire galley and demo.
I mean, this is so smart to me. Opening with the galleys because it does a better job at sniping fish, but then not continuing with galleys because you recognize that in low numbers, galleys are worse than fires was really smart here.
Yes.
Because I thought there was a world where maybe ACCM could then trade against the galleys and ACCM could come back on water. But now, I mean, It's 2 fire galleys versus 2. There's going to be a demo and another fire for Yo, and it just doesn't seem very realistic for ACCM to compete here at all.
Yeah. And I think he realizes that he's sending 4 villages forward now himself. However, Mr. Yo, I love that. Like, it feels like Mr. Yo on those kind of maps, he always knows what to go for. He has barrack now, and he needs to complete the wall to the TC though. Because if he's not capable of doing so, he's going to be exposed. And we have 1 archer coming forward already, and fletching is going to hit pretty soon as well. So Mr. Yo, he could take a little bit of damage, but it shouldn't be too major, because maybe the archer range, if that one is denied, then yes, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, we have archers already on the way for ACCM, so the timing could definitely be here. Yo's villager's trapped. She tried to chop a tree, thought twice about it. They're going to try and free her now, and there she goes. She's out of here. Nice little tree hop there.
Wow.
And hey, at the end of the day, he's got fish. And Yo also has fast skirmishers with Lithuanians. So I don't think he's going to be all that bothered if he can get the skirm number out. Loses a villager. It's so important for ACCM to continue to pile on pressure here.
Yeah, the big issue for ACCM is that he still doesn't have fletching. He does not have the food to sustain that or even afford that. And fletching comes out even faster for Mr. Yo now. And it just feels like the economy is in shambles for ACCM. He has 28 villagers and only 24 of them are working because 4 of them are in front trying to fight. But you cannot outrun the skirms of Lithuanians. Just doesn't work.
Yeah, and now your villagers are all kind of weak because of the Vill fighting. Yeah. If Yo just uses his speedy skirms to chase down the archers, which we know he will, he could always then add an archer or 2 of his own to kill the villagers. It just feels so all in for ACCM.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he recognizes that this is probably the end of the series for him because, again, his economy's in shambles. Yo's build order was so good, and Spanish just they do not perform well if they ever have to go into archers like this.
Yeah. Exactly. They can also upgrade to crossbows as well, so the archer is not the best unit to go for.
Yeah, it's just really unique how Yo's doing this. He actually has his skirms just attacking individual villagers, picked off the villager in the middle, picked off the archers now. He should know that these villagers will have to run for ACCM, so he's going to wait for them to run, and then he's going to track those down.
Yeah, one villager is super low in terms of the HP, and Mr. Yo is exactly, okay, those 3 villagers, they're still out there, and I just have to find those, and those skirms, they see the 1 villager, and I'm not sure if Mr. Yo pays attention, though. Oh yeah, okay, he does. Now he realizes the situation, he sees that, and I think with that, that tower being denied, ACCM might be even calling that one, because it feels like he's way too far behind in terms of economy. Be able to make a play here.
ACCM did actually do some good things on water. He actually has a fire there, so that's nice, but he's lost so much eco.
Yeah.
So even if Yo were to lose all of his fish right now, I'm just not sure if it's a winnable position.
Yeah. 1 villager with 2 HP. I'm not sure if it's going to make it alive out of here. It looks like it. So nice save by ACCM. But those skirms, they're fast, and they're going to seek for that that villager for sure.
He just sent 1 skirm, the 1 HP skirm. Come on, lady, you can do it. Go punch him.
Oh, he's not shooting. He didn't shoot.
Chasing. I think she'll survive, Jordan.
No. 1 HP. Ah! She's dead.
Man. Sad times.
She is dead.
That was something Yo. It's not like Yo just patrolled that either.
Yeah.
Full micro there.
Yeah.
He is actually going to give up water now, but I think mission accomplished for him. He'll just head up to Castle H.
He was definitely focusing on that one for sure. And now we see Mr. Yo building a market. So he has a lot of gold banked up as well. So he will be able to go up to Castle H in a moment. And ACCM obviously super far behind in that one. He has transitioned to stone, so he wants to build a castle with the conquistadors. But obviously that's going to be very tough now because Mr. Yo, he has such a huge lead in terms of the castle age timing, and he will have units prepared to counter those conquistadors.
Yeah, I would have to look back at the draft, but I'm not a fan of Spanish on this map. Feels easy to say right now because Spanish are losing, but I would almost prefer a civ like Berbers over Spanish because you have more options. And if you are in this type of position where you're going to have to buy Castle Age and you don't have a lot of food eco, it's easy to spam Camel Archers because you just need wood and you just need gold.
Mhm.
Onks, so much has to go right for you to get them.
Yeah.
And I just don't think this is the type of map where you're going to have that much success. I mean, unless you're the heavy favorite, if it's ACCM versus me, then obviously he's on Conks and I'm dead. But against Yo, it's just really, really tricky.
Yeah, it looks like right now nothing has worked out for ACCM in this game. But I also gotta say, Mistio has done an incredible job in finding all the answers he was looking for. And right now we have ACCM still trying to make the defensive play here against those incoming skirms and archers. But obviously, Mistio, he doesn't care about those units, I would assume. He's added one more archer, so I'm wondering... No, never mind. He will go for the calf play. He has 2 stables already in the middle, taking the control there. And we will see a forward siege workshop in the monastery as well for him.
Yeah, and also if he wants to add the town center as well, his economy is there where he can do that.
Yeah.
That is an easy possibility. So it's not as if this is all in for him. There's also many exposed villagers there for ACCM. Yeah, ACCM hasn't even clicked yet. I thought he was on the way up. He's not even close.
Yeah. He goes up to Castle Age now, but he's just... he will have such a massive lack in terms of the Castle Age timing. And how will he defend against incoming knights? I don't see it, because the knights will just walk through the TC and they will wreak such a big havoc here.
Yep, just skirt right by. I think ACCM might actually call it when he sees the knight, because there's nothing to defend from that if the TC doesn't kill it. The TC fires. Now ACCM has to have to do a lot of damage control. Well played from him, but guess what? That knight is going to find damage no matter how much work you put into it. And yeah, ACCM's got to realize now. Again, it's just the last game for him. He doesn't want to be out in this moment.
Yeah.
And lots of focus, you know, he can't process it like we do. But Yo will eat TC. I think that TC
It looks like that.
Possibly be a goner.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. And yeah, ACCM, he's just super desperate. He feels like maybe if he can get to Conquistadors, he can make something happen. He has 520 stones, so in theory he could buy himself the castle. But oh, it looks very, very grim. Very, very grim indeed.
I mean, Spanish builders do build faster. He can buy the stone. Maybe he's doing this for us, Jordan. Maybe he wants to give the viewers some exciting moments here.
Yeah, I appreciate that by ACCM.
I think he deletes the farms to the right and places it between the house and the TC.
It has to be in the top. Yeah, and that's what he does. It has to be there on the top. And now, ACCM, I think he even has to quick wall those villagers in, because the knights are always going to jump into that.
Yeah, and you can have as many villagers in the TC firing if you're going to be building. And the TC is halfway down.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance that's needed here.
Exactly.
Uh-oh. I mean, he is killing a lot of the knights. He might get the castle up. That doesn't mean he saves his town center, though.
The TC will go down. The castle will go up. There's a ram incoming now as well from Mr. Yo. And he has added a second TC himself. Or a third one even already. So his economy is looking so good. And the only thing he has to do right now is transition to the skirms, get ballistics, get bodkin arrow.
Ooh,
then
we found Vills.
Oh no.
Vills to the right of the castle. They were over there taking hunt sneakily.
Oh no.
And some more villagers go down for ACCM. Feels bad. And there's the GGs. ACCM respects Yo. It still feels like Yo has ACCM's number right now. And Yo will move on to the best of... is it best of 5? Best of 7 final. Best of 5 final?
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff.
So, Mr. Yo managed to clinch the victory here. And we have our first finalist. And the second semi-final is going to be played between Hera and Vilesse. And, you know, Vilesse playing extremely strong, especially in recent months. And Hera obviously coming back after a long break, having a phenomenal performance, or a very strong level as well. So we're going to see a very close level, or a close game between the both of them. And yeah, will be a good thing to watch. Hera unfortunately still isn't a game, but I think it will conclude pretty soon. and then we should be able to jump into the second semi-final.